Hey, and welcome to my journey. Today's video is my weigh-in video. Now, if I sound a little funny, I'm getting some kind of head cold. So, if I start coughing because my sinuses are draining and my throat's kind of scratchy, if I start coughing too much, then I'm just going to quit talking. So, this might be a short video. Might be a short video anyway because I can't think of much to talk about today. I know one thing I don't want to talk about, and that's my weigh-in, but we're going to talk about why it is the way it is. So I weighed in at 322 for a gain of 9.4, and that puts me back down to 55.1. Now, all of that is not food. Some of it is food, I'll tell you that. I told you last week what my weekend was going to look like. Well, the rest of my week, I didn't eat out the rest of my week. I didn't have milkshakes, nothing like that. But I just couldn't stop eating. I tell you, I'm struggling, and I think it's a brain thing. I think my brain is saying, you better eat, you better eat, you better eat, because one of these days you're not going to be able to. So I think that's kind of where my thought process is going. Whether it's, I mean it to, or it's just like, subliminal messages. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's just like behind the scenes. And then I think after the fact, I'm like, is that what you're doing? And I think that is what I'm doing. So I'm struggling in that area. But here's where I think the bulk of it is from. You know, we had that trip to take Sebastian back on Sunday. And so I was in the car 10 plus hours. Well, I swole up everywhere, my hands, my feet, my legs, but, hold on, that feels good. My left leg is my problem leg. It swelled up really big, and now it's draining in 3 spots. Normally it just drains in 1, but this time it picked 3, so I know it was really busting at the seams. So a lot of that 9 pounds is water weight. I don't know how much. Will I take it off next week? I don't know. I don't know how my week is going to go. I honestly don't. I mean for it to go good, but then it's like, I just want to eat. I just want to eat. I was doing so good, and then I just started getting off track. I had no food funerals this week. I ain't done that. I just ate, and it was nothing that I wasn't supposed to eat. I did buy some cereal because I needed it. Hold on, because I have to have, I know, go on and say something about it. I have to have that blueberry cereal. So when me and Holly, we were at the Sam's Club, they had the box of Monster cereals, and I couldn't resist it. There was part of me, it was just like, you gotta have that. So I'm eating on some cereal, because the chances that I will be able to eat cereal afterwards, even though cereals these days aren't very sugary, so I mean, I may be able to, but the fact that I'll need to limit my carbs is another reason why I probably won't be able to eat cereal. I like a bowl of cereal, so I've been eating cereal. Been eating a lot of cheese sticks, more cheese sticks than I should, even though cheese sticks is a good snack for protein, because I had a visit with the nutritionist yesterday. I'll probably do a video on that. It'll be a very short one, because it'll just be a very short one, but that's part of my journey. And so, I mean, that's a good snack, but not when you eat way too many of them. Been eating like leftovers. Well, the weekend, you know, the weekend was rough. We went to Shoney's. That was where we decided to eat after we got through doing our shopping. And so we tore it up. It was the buffet. And we're like, okay, we're going to eat. Listen, there'll be a day coming when I won't get a buffet. My buffet will be an ounce of liquid here and an ounce of liquid there. So I enjoyed myself. I did. I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm not going to like feel guilty. I'm not going to apologize for it. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm not going to apologize to anybody for the choices I made except myself. I would tell myself, okay, I'm sorry you did that. You probably shouldn't have, but I'm not going to apologize to any other person because I made a mistake. That is not, it's not any other person's right to judge my mistakes in this situation. If I went out and committed a crime, then judge me. But I didn't commit a crime. I just made a mistake in my eating all week long. Big week-long mistake. So that's that. But my leg, that's that. And I can't help that. That's not lymphedema, I don't think. It's just, it could be because, it's not draining like it should, and it really swelled up in the car for all those hours. So it could be lymphedema. I guess it could be. So it's coming down slowly but surely. It's draining. It's a very slow drain, so it's a very slow shrinkage of the leg. But boy, we had fun. I mean, I've already talked about this on my West Virginia trip, so I probably shouldn't repeat it. But some of you only come to watch the weigh-in, so. But taking Sebastian back, leaving him was not fun. But we made the best of it while we were there. We went to a Goodwill, and if you saw my West Virginia video in my haul, you saw the good deal that I made. I found a McCoy pottery bowl for, what was it, $1.49? And I found one on the internet going for $75. I didn't know it was McCoy when I got it, but I knew it was something. Just from the way it was marked on the bottom, I knew it was something. But I didn't realize it was a McCoy. And McCoy's a very popular pottery, and there's a lot of vintage. I have 2 McCoy cookie jars. They were my mama's. One is an owl, yes, and one is a potbelly stove. So those are treasures to me. They're nothing I would ever sell. Never, ever. Living in a ditch, and I'm not going to sell my mama's cookie jars. Hold on. So, sorry about that. So we did have that. We went to Woody's Goodies. Found some stuff at Woody's Goodies. As soon as I saw the name, I'm like, I got to go there. So we went there. And then when we got through there, as soon as we walked out the door, Dave was like, what we going to eat? I'm like, I don't know. Let's find something that ain't fast food. Because we get fast food around here. Tons of it. So one of the first things we come to that wasn't fast food was a Shoney's. So that's why we picked that. Because we don't have our Shoney's down here anymore. They knocked the building down. It's been gone for years. They knocked our Captain D's, didn't knock our building down yet, I don't think. But our Captain D's closed. I like Captain D's fish. I thought it was good. Put some of that malt vinegar and some tartar sauce on it. Ooh, it was very good. Of course, it was very fattening, so we didn't get it very often. But when we did, and Hush Puppies, oh, this was the good Hush Puppies. David said when they were growing up, well, I don't know if his sister was done left the house or not, because she's a good bit older than him. When they would make fish at home, his mama would send him up to the Captain D's to get the Hush Puppies. Yeah. So, anyway, they're good. But talking about restaurants, I'm going to tell you this story. That'll probably be all we talk about, because I just don't know nothing. Michelle was talking about, because we went to Shoney's. Michelle was talking about, what she liked, and she liked the strawberry pie, and I told her. I said, well, I got a funny story about that I'll tell on Thursday. So I'm going to tell you today. When I was in college, I worked at Shoney's. Lord, I worked at Shoney's. I worked at Burger King. I worked at Wendy's. And then the last place I worked was a nursing home. And it broke my heart. Working in that nursing home broke my heart. I treated those patients as good as I knew how, and everybody didn't. And some of them never had visitors, ever. They never had a single visitor, and they were just there. But anyway, I liked my job. I liked my job a lot. It just tore me up to do it. But anyway, at Shoney's, I was a waitress. Well, as a waitress, you still have, stuff to do in the back. Either when you get there or before you leave, there's things you have to do. Well, one thing was the leftover lettuce from the salads was put in this big roll around white, looked like a garbage can. It had wheels on it, but it was for food. And it was soaked in some kind of solution. I don't want to say bleach, but it was some kind of solution to keep it from turning brown for the next day. So that's where all the lettuce was stored, in a solution in a big roll around tub. Well, for the strawberry pie, one of my jobs was to wash everything off the strawberries and save them for the next day. Hold on. I can still see myself with those leftover pies in the evening, standing over that big stainless steel sink, washing all that crust and, the good gel stuff that's on it, the good strawberry stuff that's on it, washing all that off with my hands, just standing there washing them, and putting them in a container to save, to make pies the next day. Truth if I ever told it. So I cannot say for certainty if they still do that, but in the early 80s, they did that at the Shoney's where I went to college. So just do with that what you will. It's your choice whether you want to eat a Shoney pie or you don't want to eat a Shoney pie. I wonder if you went in and asked them, hey, y'all wash off them strawberries at night and use them again the next day? I wonder if they'd tell you the truth. If you would even know, if they would just automatically say, no, we don't do that. And if they really did, you never know. You would never know unless you weren't there. So that's my Shoney story. I was a good waitress though. Oh my gosh. Back in that day, I made good tips. I was a good waitress. I ain't trying to say toot toot, but I was good to people. I kept them filled up in their tea. I talked nice to them. I was friendly, made sure they liked their food. I did everything that you want a waitress to do. So for Shoney's, I did good for a college student. I really did. Wendy's, my job was, sometimes I would have to work, I never worked the registers. I did prep work. So part of the time that I worked there, I had kind of stopped going to class and working more. I hadn't quit completely, but my schedule was so that I could work more. But one of my jobs at Wendy's was cutting the onions. Whew. That's where I learned how to cut them into rings without destroying the whole onion. After you cut the ends off, you just take the knife and just pare it around the top layer. Then you can peel the top layer off, and then you can cut it into rings. So my job was to cut onions. That is where I learned when your eyes are burning from cutting onions, go in the freezer. I would go in the walk-in freezer because it was cold and they had the air blowing in there. What I do at home now, when I cut an onion and they get burning my eyes, I open my freezer door and stick my face in so that the cold air blowing down, I take my glasses off, will blow into my eyes. And you'd be surprised. You would be surprised how it takes away that burning. I did that. I cut the tomatoes, one of them, down machines like that, cutting things. I patted out hamburgers. I fried the bacon. I fried French fries. I just did stuff like that. Kept things stocked up, just that kind of job. It was okay. I didn't mind it too bad. I didn't have to clean up the dining room, nothing like that. I didn't run the register. So I was just kind of the prep girl. At Burger King, you know what? I wasn't there long enough to tell you what what I did. I can't remember what I did. Now, the nursing home, I did all the things for personal care of a human being that would need to take place. And you can imagine what all those things were. And the funny part about it was, it didn't bother me. I could go clean up a mess of, what I'm trying to say. And it didn't bother me. I guess because I really cared about the patients and I come to love them, that it didn't bother me to help them in that way. Some people are just like, oh, I can't do it. My stomach won't. David couldn't do it. He couldn't do it for love or money because he has a real bad gag reflex. But it didn't bother me. And then, just giving baths and fixing their hair and helping them eat and, like talking to them when they're sitting out in the hallway. Some of them I really got to know real good, and we would just cut up and have a good time. And then when I moved home, when I actually quit school, I moved home and I got a job in another nursing home. Now, that nursing home was more of a kind of where mental health patients, there were more mental health patients than there were like older people that you stereotypically think are in a nursing home. Some wild things went on in there. Sometimes you might get cornered by one of them or hit or cussed out. Oh my gosh. There was this one little lady. Oh my gosh. I wish I could remember her name. She was just a tiny little thing, and she always sat out in the foyer where she could get some sun. She accused us of trying to kill her every single day you was there. We was poisoning her food. We wasn't feeding her because we wanted her to die. She just went on and on and on. And I mean, you couldn't do nothing but miss, whatever. Honestly, we're not doing that. Be as nice to them as you can because they don't know what they're actually doing. But the ones that were like violent, it got kind of scary sometimes. But there was some there that you get to know and, you cut up with and all this and that. So it was a good job. And then also I worked at Kmart's. I started there when I was in high school, and I was a cashier. That's when we had those giant cash registers where every digit you had to punch the number. The hundreds, and then the tens, and then the fives, and then the decimal, and then the, cents. You talk about having calluses on your finger. The one that you push with, this one, I'm telling you what, it was something else. And here's the hard part to believe. We had to count back our own change. I don't know if cashiers today could count their own change back because the machines tell them how much to give back. Our machine didn't tell us. We had to count it back. Lord, I had a woman one time cuss me over a penny. You hear what I'm telling you? She cussed me over a penny. I reached in. We had to wear them smocks, them aqua smocks with the Kmart on it. I reached in my pocket. I kept change and all kinds of stuff in my pockets. I reached in my pocket. I said, here is your penny. Oh my gosh. But I worked there in high school. And then when I went to college, they let me work every weekend that I come home. If I wanted to work, I could. If I didn't want to work, I didn't have to. I would just basically call and tell them, I'll be there. And so I was there. And part of that time, I got off of doing the cash registers to working in housewares. And housewares is when I started. Well, I had already started building up my hope chest, going to Tupperware and Stanley parties with my mama as a young girl. I mean, a young girl, I started building a hope chest. I'm talking probably 12 years old. I started building a hope chest because that's what we did around here. I put my Stanley products in there, not like cleaning products, just Stanley things. I had a Stanley jewelry box. I don't know whatever happened to that thing. One of those white puffy kind, and the red velvet interior. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. and Tupperware. I had all kind of Tupperware, but then when I started working housewares, I would get to see everything coming in, and I would see everything every day when I would be straightening shelves. I would see stuff, so I was always buying stuff at Kmart. So when I got married the first time, I had, and that was in 85, I had a chest full of stuff. I had a whole set of dishes and glasses, and I still have the coffee carafe to this day, and it had bright flowers on it, primary color flowers. I loved it. Every now and then, I will see a glass or something in a thrift store that is that same pattern, and I think, oh, all that stuff I had kitchen curtains. I found fabric that was almost identical to it, that we made kitchen curtains in my I've told y'all before, we lived in a little 12 by 55 trailer. That was the tiniest little thing, but you know what? I made it a home. I decorated it. I fixed it up. I made it as pretty as I knew how to make it. And we were happy until we weren't. Does that make sense? Does that even make sense to anybody? We had a good marriage until we didn't. And we eventually bought a bigger trailer and moved it across the driveway. Lived on the other side because there was a big brouhaha about that trailer, them moving it out and putting in another one, and they were going to up our rent, and we couldn't move in at a certain time, and we're just like, no, we're just going to buy our own. So we bought our own. He sold his, hold on to your hat, 69 Camaro. That's the one I told you I used to race in out here on the highway. Yes, it was loud. Boy, it thumped. It was nice. And you know what? RJ, he was in the back seat as just, and his doctor was in another town. Probably took us 30 minutes to get there. He would be in that back seat, sleeping just as hard as he could sleep in that loud muffler going on. So he sold that because he told me, he said, we can't live in a car. And that was his prized possession. So I do thank him for that. I mean, I thank him for the good times that we had, and it just happens, you know. Those of you that have been married more than one time, you understand where I'm coming from. If you've only been married, just, you know, to who you're married to, and that's the only marriage you've had, you may not understand that sometimes they just go awry and there's no fixing them. And there was just no fixing this. I tried, and it just didn't work. So that is how I ended up getting divorced and meeting David. And the first time I saw David, oh my gosh, we were working together at the trucking company, not the one he works at now. And where I sit, we had a big long table, and I was a billing clerk. I eventually was moved to billing supervisor, but I was a billing clerk. And there was a door where I sit on the end, and right there was a door that you go through, and then it went up to upstairs. He was a dispatcher. So he would have to come behind us. When you come in the main door, you come across our giant office, and people, the guys on the dock were walking back and through, you know, for different reasons. And he'd come walking through. And I remember the first time I saw him, he had the prettiest little blonde hair, just fine little, he had hair, he did, little fine blonde hair. He just had it all fixed back, just right and everything. And he was thin in his stomach, and he had these broad shoulders. He's nice and tall. He's 6'2". I noticed those broad shoulders was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, oh, oh, excuse me. So I started going up there and talking to him. What can I say? Mama saw what she wanted. And Mama went after it. Yeah. So we had our first date on, excuse me, just a minute. We had our first date on Valentine's, and I asked him out. I did. Listen, I wasn't waiting on him. He was so shy. Oh my gosh, he was so shy. That's why I can't believe he does these tags. Because he's very shy. And he's very private. He's very private. That's why I can't believe he does these tags. But I think he's gotten pretty comfortable with them, don't y'all? So our first date was the movie Home Alone 2, and we took RJ, and we went to Pizza Hut. So we went to Pizza Hut first, and then we went to the movie. But the first, I should have known then how important trucks were to him, because he had his own trucks at the time. He was working at the trucking company we met at, and keeping his trucks on the road. So the man never slept. Never slept. I'm not exaggerating. A couple hours a night. He was hitting it hard because he was trying to get his business running. Well, he would go pay his drivers, and he had one that he had to go pay. So he's like, well, before we were in that white truck, the one that he rebuilt. That's our date truck. I can't get in it now, but I'm going to tell you what. When I get my knees and my back fixed, I'm going riding in that truck, because that's our date truck. It was brand new. He brought it brand new in 91. So it was a brand new truck. We started dating in 93? No, I think 93. And 92? 93. So we had to go and pay his driver before we could actually start our date. So I should have known there and then how important trucks were to him, because I'm going to tell you what. The man has diesel in his veins. He don't have blood. He has diesel. He loves his trucks. So he proposed to me at that Pizza Hut. Yes, he did. There was a song, I think it's Sammy Kershaw, John Deere Green. Was it Sammy Kershaw? Y'all remember that John Deere Green song? I love that song. And so he told me he got this big roll of like craft paper. You know, the brown paper, KRAFT paper. Humongous roll of that. And after the fact, he told me he searched far and wide for actual John Deere green paint. Not just green paint, John Deere green paint. And he painted that big long sign, "Will you marry me?" So we go to Pizza Hut, and he made sure, all this was after the fact, he made sure we sat at the first booth to where the waitresses could get back and forth, and he sat facing them and I sat facing that way. And so we sat there, and he got up, like go to the bathroom or something, and here comes, and we'd been done eating everything, and so she brought me a to-go box because we didn't eat it all. And here come all the waitresses holding the sign, walking around the whole restaurant, parading past me, reading "Will you marry me?" And my to-go box, when I opened it up, he had my ring in there. Yes, isn't that sweet? Oh my God, he wouldn't do nothing like that today. That goes, he's not gushy. So the fact that he did that was just the sweetest thing, because he's not a gushy person. He's just not. So that's how he proposed to me. And then everybody in the restaurant was clapping and carrying on, and I was crying, and it was so sweet. But yeah, he planned the whole thing. So that's how we met. And that's how we got engaged. And we just went to South Carolina to get married. It was the second marriage for both of us, and we didn't want no big hoopla. So his parents, my mama, and RJ, we just went down to South Carolina. Because at that time, I think now you can get married in your own state, because you just get your marriage license and get married. Back then, you had to go to South Carolina because they would let you get your, you couldn't do it up here. You had to, I can't remember the whole rules. There was some reason why everybody back then went to South Carolina. That was the thing you did. And then we just come home and had our honeymoon at home. Mama took RJ, spent the night with him, and we had a night alone. And then right back at it the next day, back to work, back to, everything that you got to do. So that was our honeymoon. But all right, well, I didn't think I had nothing to talk about, but that just come on around, didn't it? Oh, mercy, excuse me. So back to 322, 9.4, 55.1. And I'll take credit for some of that. But I'm not making an excuse. It's an actual fact sitting here on my leg. I'll attribute part of that to my leg. Now, will I lose it next week? Like I said, I don't know. When my leg goes down, is that much weight going to come off next week? I don't know. Because I don't know what my eating's going to be like. Y'all, I'm just telling you. Y'all got to send some real good juju towards me or something, because I am struggling. When I want something to eat, I'm eating it. And before, I could talk myself out of it. Because you know that's what I do. I talk to myself. No, you don't need that. Stop. This one says eat it. This one says don't. And I'm like, shut your mouth. Okay, I won't. You know, those two girls on my shoulder. But I'm struggling in that department. And I don't know what to do, but just do it. That's what I tell y'all. That's the only thing that works for me. I don't have no magic formula, no super secret tricks. I just have to do it, and I haven't been just doing it. So that's all I know today. All right, well, I'll let you go, and I'll see you. I'll try to do that nutrition video, put it up tomorrow. I'll try to do a little talking on that. Like I said, it won't be big, but anyway, see you in my next video.